Here we go, guys. We are now at the halfway mark of this championship season. We're at game week 23, just before Christmas, and we've got some really tasty championship fixtures coming up over the weekend, which we are here to predict in today's video. As always, I want to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Plenty going on in the championship right now, with new managers coming into the league, big matchups at the top and bottom of the table, and I'm all here for the drama. As always, do leave a like if you're going to enjoy. 300 likes would be appreciated. But without any further ado, let's jump in. We're starting now at Ashton Gate with the first of the Friday games, with Bristol City going up against Hull. Really impressive showing from Hull last time out. A dominating 3-0 win over Cardiff, making it back-to-back wins for them and sealing up a place in the top 6 heading into this festive period. Now, Bristol City got a great result themselves over the weekend, 1-0 at Ashton Gate. Can they make it back-to-back wins? Well, interestingly, we're at this halfway mark of this championship season now, and Bristol City are one of 4 championship clubs who are yet to win back-to-back games this season, which I find absolutely crazy. Are they going to do so in this one? I'm not so sure. The recent history between these two sides does favour Bristol City. Hull have only won one of their last 11 meetings with Bristol City, but the way they're playing right now, I think they may get the job done in this one. Consistency has been a bit of an issue for Bristol City all season. That could play into Hull's favour here. I'm going to go 2-1 Hull as my prediction in this one, but wouldn't be surprised if that ends level. The other game we've got going on Friday is between Swansea and Preston. I don't feel as if this one's going to be a classic. Both sides down on their luck right now. Preston coming off the back of one of the worst results we've had so far this season, shipping 5 goals against Watford. But we're coming up against the Swansea side, who equally aren't playing some great stuff right now. Preston have only won 3 of their last 15 matches. Swansea on a similarly bad run, where they've only won 2 of their last 11. Now, it is worth pointing out that Preston's record away at Swansea, generally speaking, is pretty abysmal. We've actually only won 2 matches away at Swansea since 1961, when I did a bit of digging into the historical figures. Whether that means anything or not, you can probably take with a bit of a pinch of salt. Now, previously, when Preston have had hammerings under Ryan Lowe, he's gone about the next game with a really defensive approach. I mean, we did so just the other week against Norwich. We played for a clean sheet in that game, parked the bus for 90 minutes. In the end, we got a 0-0 draw. The fact we're coming off the back of a 5-1 hammer-in, I think Lowe's going to want to tighten up the defensive line in this one. For his reputation, he can't afford another spanking in this game. And honestly, I've got a feeling both teams are going to be a little bit standoffish here, not want to give a lot away to the opposition. It's not going to make for a great spectacle. 1 goal either way really could win this one, but I think I'm going for a 0-0er. Next up, we head to Ellen Road for Leeds up against Ipswich, and boy, am I looking forward to this one. It felt like a bit of a missed opportunity for Leeds at the weekend, with Ipswich dropping points. They got themselves into that winning position against Coventry, but despite having chances, couldn't hold out for all 3 points, and it does mean that Ipswich maintain that 10-point lead they've currently got over Leeds. Now, Ipswich don't look like dropping points in a lot of the matches they're playing right now, and so this is a real opportunity for Leeds to claw back a little bit of ground on Kieran McKenna's side in the race for the top 2. Now, so far this season, Leeds have been pretty flawless at Ellen Road. They are yet to lose at home. I do think we will see some goals scored in this game. I'm interested to see what the levels are like for Ipswich, who probably got quite unlucky not to win that East Anglian derby against Norwich, given some of the chances they had to put that game to bed. I do think we're going to see goals at both ends in this one, and for whatever reason, I think this game's got a 3-2 sort of written all over it, but which way that goes, I'm not so sure. I could see it being quite open and exciting, as the reverse fixture was earlier in the season, where Leeds did get the better of Ipswich, it's worth remembering. Do you know what? To spice things up in and around the top 2, I'm going to go 3-2 Leeds in this game, which would see them gain a little bit of ground on Ipswich. Next up then, we go to Blackburn up against Watford. Not much to separate these two sides in the league table right now, both with 31 points from their opening 22 matches, but very conflicting results over the weekend. Blackburn shipping 4 goals against Southampton, and Watford smashing 5 past Preston North End. Really good away performance from Watford last time out, albeit they did concede quite a few chances in that game to North End in the first half, and maybe back Blackburn to get a goal or 2 against that Watford side. But with that being said, I think that Watford have been a bit more reliable of late than Blackburn have, and I'm slightly edging them in this encounter. Score prediction for me, Going to go 2-1 Watford, which would be a great week for them. Leicester against Rotherham next up. I think most people will be predicting a big scoreline in favour of the home side in this one. And while that's probably the likely outcome, there's every chance that Leicester maybe take the foot off the gas for this fixture. We did see them doing it previously when they went away to Sheffield Wednesday. Maybe we're a little bit complacent going into that game. Ended up dropping points against a very spirited Sheff Wednesday side. Can I see that happening in this game though? I'm not so sure. I think we are seeing Leicester as one of the best sides we've ever seen in this division, going up against the Rotherham side, who are looking like one of the worst right now, certainly in terms of the points they've got on the board at this stage. Honestly, I think this depends on a couple of factors. One, how early Leicester get their first goal, and two, whether or not they take their foot off the gas in this fixture. If that's not the case, I could see them smashing in a few in this one, if I'm honest. Score prediction for me, I'm going to go 4-0 to the Foxes. After that, we head to the Riverside for Middlesbrough up against West Brom. Worth remembering earlier in the season, West Brom did put 4 goals past Middlesbrough, and Borough definitely have it in them to ship a few goals when things start to get away from them. Bit of a frustrating one, albeit last time out for the Baggies, a draw against Stoke. I think these are the sort of fixtures where Middlesbrough need to start capitalising on. Ultimately, West Brom do currently occupy one of those spots in the top 6 where Borough are going to be aiming for come the end of the season. It does feel like with Carrick's side right now, they're just limping over the line trying to get to the January window when they can bring in a few more reinforcements into that side and maybe go and run in the second half of this season. Was a good result for them last time against Swansea, albeit probably not their most convincing of performances, but I don't think that matters right now for Middlesbrough. I think that points on the board going into January is the most important thing. Wouldn't be surprised at a draw in this one. I've got a gut feeling though that the Baggies may do something on the road, just been a little bit inconsistent with Borough recently. So I'm going to go 2-1 West Brom in that game, which would be a big result for them. Norwich against Huddersfield comes up next, and do you know what? All things said and done, Norwich have put together a few decent results of late. I think it was a really positive result for them in the East Anglian derby, a 2-2 draw with Ipswich, especially with... It felt like quite a lot of Norwich fans were quite fearful in the upcoming months to that fixture because of the differing fortunes between Norwich and Ipswich so far this season. But ultimately, I think the Canaries gave a decent account of themselves in that game. Really did have to hold on at times, but managed to withstand the pressure. And Johnny Rowe coming up with a few moments of quality. I would back them as the favourites in this game. I know that Huddersfield rescued a point late on against Millwall last time out, but generally speaking, Huddersfield haven't been that convincing of late, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 Norwich win in this game, which would be another step back in the right direction for them. Plymouth against Birmingham. I'm really not sure how to call this fixture after all the turbulence that's gone on behind the scenes at Plymouth over these last few days with Schumacher. Obviously, so far this season it has been Plymouth's home form, which has been a real staple to them. Usually we'd back them for a home win. Away on the road, not quite as convincing, but I'm not sure how the squad reacts to that sort of news. And coming into this one against the Birmingham side who are in and around them in the table right now. Whether the squad is rallied and wants to kick on under the next manager coming in, or everyone's a bit down and deflated, I'm really not too sure on this one. Change at this point of the season with how many games come up over this festive period isn't ideal, and maybe Blues could take some confidence from that. Score prediction in this game, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in there, I think. After that, we head to QPR up against Southampton. Now, it was a bit of a dent in QPR's survival hopes, losing that game against Sheffield Wednesday over the weekend. Nevertheless, a lot of teams above them right now are still within catching distance, but this isn't going to be easy up against the Southampton side, still boasting the longest unbeaten run in the Championship. Really convincing performance over the weekend for them. Maybe their most complete performance actually of the season so far, smashing 4 past Blackburn. Could have had more if the penalty went in as well. Now, what's been a bit of a hindrance to Southampton, if you could call it that, on this unbeaten run is how many draws they've had on the road. And it is worth pointing out that Cifuentes has absolutely sorted out QPR's home form of late, unbeaten in their last 4 home matches. So while I totally wouldn't be surprised to see this one end in level, I think I'm slightly favouring Southampton just with that extra quality in the final third. Prediction in this one, I'm going to go 2-1 to the Saints, but wouldn't be too surprised if it ended level. Next then we go to Hillsborough for Sheffield Wednesday up against Cardiff. An absolutely massive result for Wednesday last time around, beating QPR, and that sort of result will give them real confidence confidence that they can continue to gain points on those sides above them, and who knows, maybe even pull off the impossible and go ahead and survive this season, which, had you asked anyone 2 or 3 months into the season, don't think anyone would have believed you it was on the cards. But a great turnaround since then, and you know what, I think this is a really good opportunity for Wednesday. I think this is a decent time to be playing Cardiff. They're not in great form right now, not scoring a lot of goals, and generally speaking aren't creating that many chances either. Have a feeling this game's going to be quite tight, and the first goal I could definitely see him being quite decisive. I do think there'll be a moment where Cardiff snap back into form, but something about Wednesday right now just makes me sway towards them. I'm going to go 1-0 Wednesday in this game, which would be a huge result. Next up then we go to Stoke up against Millwall. Can Steven Schumacher make an instant impact at the Bet365? Now, it's quite a chaotic time to be changing jobs with how many games come up over this period in quite a quick succession. He's not going to have that much time on the training pitch with this squad before all these matches start coming thick and fast, so I'm certainly not expecting to see Stoke playing the sort of football that Plymouth have been under Schumacher anytime soon. I think that that's going to really take time, but a massive game he's instantly thrown into here against a fellow relegation candidate as things stand in Millwall. Obviously, Millwall were quite brave in making the change of managers earlier in the season, ditching Rowett in favour of Edwards. So far this season, that's not really paid off. Prediction for this game, I think I'm sitting on the fence for it. Going to go for an unhelpful 1-1 draw in that one. And then to finish things off at the Stadium of Light for Sunderland up against Coventry. Very interested to see how Michael Beale gets on in his first game with Sunderland. Do think that he's probably got a bit of work to do to properly convince that fan base that he is the right man for them long term. Obviously, a bit of a controversial appointment, I think you could call it, but I do think that Beale has an upside as a coach, and we saw glimpses of that from his time with QPR. It's whether or not he can get that extra 5 or 10% out of this Sunderland squad to take them to that next level and to really push them onto playoff form, which they were ever so slightly below during Mowbray's tenure during this second season. This one won't be easy. Coventry I've really liked the look of recently. The added spice of Callum O'Hare coming back into that side, I think, has added that extra creative dynamic. They've been a lot more solid at the back recently as well, and things slowly falling into place for Mark Robins' side. Honestly, wouldn't be surprised if this one ended level. So far this season, only Huddersfield have drawn matches than Coventry have. 9 draws from their opening 22 matches. So for a prediction for this one, I'm going to sit on the fence. 1-1 I'm saying, not much between them. Well guys, there you have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you did go in to enjoy, make sure to leave a like, and do get your thoughts in the comments down below. Plenty of talking points in the Championship right now, and I'm interested to hear your takes on it all. Other than that though guys, thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.